Hi, and thank you for tuning in to Lunch Talk with the Carters. I am your hostess, Star Carter.
And I am your host, Michael Carter.
And we just come to tell you all that it is time to get the show started. What's up, guys? It is Friday. We have come to the end of another work week. We are about to kick off the weekend. So how you doing today, Mr. Carter?
Oh, blessed to be alive. Doing good.
As always, I hope you guys are staying cool wherever you are, because like we told you Monday, it is summertime, honey. And it is kicking in full gear. So to continue on what we were talking about Monday, mindfulness in relationships. So I was talking to my husband Saturday when I told you guys I go outside to my brother's store and sell some things out there where his store is. And I keep having people I guess now since we have this relationship podcast, they tell me that they're not happy in their relationship and what can they do to be happy again in their relationship. So that's like one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, what do you do when you're unhappy in your relationship? So that's what we're going to talk about today is happiness in relationships. Well, if you want me to take it first, or do you want to start it off or?
Yeah, you go right ahead.
Okay. So me personally, guys, I feel like we need to know what happiness is first. Okay. So when I looked it up in the dictionary, I found out that happy means the feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. That's what happiness is. That's what happy is, not happiness, happy. And happiness is being in the state of being happy. So when you're in happiness, that means that you are feeling, showing pleasure or contentment. So you are content where you are. You are happy. That means you are happy. You are showing pleasure and a feeling of contentment where you are. So that means that if you're unhappy in your relationship, that means you're no longer getting a feeling, a pleasure, or you're no longer content in your relationship.
That's great stuff. I never knew the actual meaning of happiness. But hey, that's good stuff.
No, that's all I did was Google it.
Okay, coming to the word, let's get back to the definition of happiness. Happiness to me is self. No one can actually give you happiness. No one else can actually make you happy, because go back to the definition again. It strictly says it's like a self thing. Your pleasure, you giving yourself pleasure, you are in content with where you are, who you with, or whatever the case may be. That seems like something self to me, right?
Yeah, because here's the thing with happiness. Happiness starts from within. So when you look up the word happy, right, it gives you a lot of synonyms like cheerful, joyful, gleeful, carefree, untroubled, delighted, smiling, beaming, grinning, in good spirits, in a good mood, lighthearted, contented, satisfied, a whole bunch of them, that goes along with being happy. And to me, and this is my personal opinion, if you guys got your own opinion, please let me know. You can hit me up at lunchtalkshow@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you guys. But to me, it's like this. Happiness got to come from the inside. Like my husband said, that's self. If you're not happy in the inside, if you're not happy with yourself, how can you expect your mate to make you happy? Mm-hmm. When happiness starts with within. Like the old song used to say in church, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it and the world can't take it away. So if you already have joy, which was another word that they used in the dictionary as a synonym for happy, if you already have joy, contentment, feeling of pleasure and all within you, then can't nobody take that away from you unless you allow them to, right?
Well, when it comes to that, to me, it's a self thing. That's the definition of it. It's all self, But I think that a lot of people out there can agree with me as well that, the ultimate goal is what my wife was just saying. That's the ultimate goal when it comes to mindfulness and everything that we've learned, everything that we've learning, this journey we're going on. That's the ultimate goal. But on the other hand, I feel that someone can take your happiness. They can't make you happy, because you can go into a relationship happy, have all the synonyms and everything else for happy. You can be pleasurable, all the other good things that we were just saying about happiness. But if you get that person in your life that's taking you down, it's up to you to stay now. But for that moment, you're not happy. If you're arguing all the time, I mean, you're not in a cheerful mood. You may put on a persona outside the house, but when you get to the house, it's like your soul is tormented. You're not happy. You understand what I'm saying? You know, I know we're saying that happiness is a self thing, which is true, but someone you care about, someone you love, no matter if it's family, no matter if it's, your mate, your wife, your boyfriend, girlfriend, even your friend, if that person hurts you, they have a tendency to take your happiness. I don't want to say take your happiness, but they contribute to not making you happy, if that's another good way of putting it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but in this mindfulness that we have learned, you know, and of course we have to go back and forth because we got to show you how it is, like my husband just said, and how another way of thinking about it.
Exactly, yes.
So with that being said, no, even though happiness starts from within, I meant to say yes, somebody can take you out of that happy state, because happiness is a state of either contentment or pleasure, as it said, or a feeling. So somebody can take you out of that state at that particular point. But here's the thing, like we said in the other show, you have control over your emotions. Nobody controls how you react but you. Now, I can understand sometimes you get under fire. Somebody comes at you all left and you wouldn't even expecting it. Your reflex is going to make you fire back because our brains is wired that way. We are either in a calm mode or we are ready to be in flight mode. So that's just how it is. We are either calm or we ready to be in flight. So that's why our brains are wired the way it is, because it is meant to protect you. So if somebody is coming at you with attacking words and attacking actions, your response is to attack back. But here's where the mindfulness come into place. Because that's when you have to take a look at the situation. Don't always react with emotions. You can't always, you know what I'm saying?
Stuff.
You can't always react with emotions. See what's going on first before you contribute to whatever it is that is causing this person to be unhappy, because what they're doing is they're projecting what is going on inside of them at you, which is going to cause you to be in the same state as they in.
Exactly. That is good stuff. Wonderful stuff. So guys, mindfulness is what we're trying to tell you. Your emotions are going to come, whether it's hurt, whether it's anger, like my wife was saying, being defensive if somebody attacking you, they're going to come because you're human. Mindfulness is being aware and conscious of those feelings when they come, and you can handle them better. You can be in more control. That's what we're getting at. That's the beauty of mindfulness. Thinking about it, knowing that can happen, knowing what to do when that situation arises. That's what mindfulness is. It's living in the day, the present moment, not going back in the past, not doing this. Because like the perfect example I was just saying, someone can take your happiness for that moment. For that moment. Mindfulness, understand, comes to you and says, okay, let's put myself in this situation and I can be aware of it. And then the hurt, you can deal with the hurt in a lot better way. You won't let no one have that much control of you to take that happiness from you at the time. Like my wife said, that could be reflecting, what's going on with them onto you. They're having a bad day. They want you to have a bad day. Mindfulness, that emotion will come, but being mindful will make you react in a better way.
That's correct. That is absolutely correct, because we can't control what other people do. We can't. We only have control of our own actions. So here's the thing, guys. If you are unhappy in your relationship for whatever reason, maybe you argue all the time. Maybe you are being accused all the time and you're not doing anything, but your mate has trust issues. So you're being accused all the time, which is probably going to cause an argument, or whatever the case may be that is causing you to be unhappy. Sometimes you got to step outside yourself and really look at it objectively. What can I do to bring myself happy? And sometimes that means you might need to leave the person that you're with, because if that person is the main cause of your unhappiness, that might mean that God wants you to remove that person from your life. Because if you were happy before you got with that person, or before you made that big commitment, or whatever it is, at some point You had to have the red flags to go up to say, look, this is not making me happy. And a lot of times we don't listen to those red flags and we feel like we are the savior and we can fix anybody.
Mistake number one. Been there, done that.
I have
Done
too.
that.
So a lot of times we have big egos that make us think that we can deal with things and we can fix things and we can fix people. Honey, you can't fix nobody but you. You only control you. Even your children, you only have a limited amount of time of control over them until they get to a certain age. Y'all guys have had the terrible teen years. I mean, I went through a terrible teen years. So you know that even there's a limitation on how much you can control of your own kids once they get to a certain age. So you guys got to realize that happiness is something that you have to seek after. And not worry about if this person is going to provide happiness for you. Because here's the thing, and you can agree with me or not, babe. Here's the thing. If you are already happy when you meet this person, they should enhance your already happiness that you already have inside of you.
I agree 100%.
You should not put the burden on your mate to make you happy. So if you are a broken person when they meet you, you're broken, you are hurt from your past relationship, you have trust issues, you have all these deep-seated things. You might have been molested, you might have been raped, you might have had gone through all these different things before you got with your current mate. And you are carrying these luggage, just like my husband said, you're carrying these things in the back of your head. You got a file cabinet full of mental stuff that you can pull out on your mate at any given moment that they do something that you don't like. It's up to you to fix all those things before you go and ruin somebody else's life. Because that's what you're going to do, because you're not happy with yourself.
As we were saying, it's your choice to allow someone to have that much control over you. It's your choice to live in an unhappy situation. It's your choice. You know, we said in the last episode, people are so quick not to take responsibility but point the finger at your mate. You are choosing that lifestyle. Mm-hmm. You are choosing to live that way. Mm-hmm. It's you. You're an adult. It's you. I mean, I don't know, as we were saying earlier, are you thinking you can fix them? Or are you thinking you're the savior of the world? I don't know what's your frame of thinking. I don't know. But whatever it is, you chose this. It's your choice. You can choose to let someone try to take your happiness for any moment. They will take your happiness for a moment if you allow them to. Mm-hmm. Being mindful puts you in that state so you can control that total emotion. So guys, being mindful and making choices is your choice.
Yeah, really. What we're trying to drive home to you guys is when, like, say for instance, say if you've been at work all day and you had a terrible day at work. I mean, the boss has been a real big butthole to you. I mean, if you run a machine, the machine just kept acting up and you just had a terrible day, right? And you get home and your mate is sitting on the couch. There's dishes in the sink. There's trash that needs to be taken out. So when you come into a house that is untidy and you see your mate just sitting there doing nothing, that's going to make you even more mad because you're already upset. You've already had a bad day. So that's another thing that if untidiness gets on your nerves, then that's going to be one more fuel that you added to an already lit fire. So you just added some more ammunition to that fire. So now you've already had a bad day. And your mate could be sitting on the couch and they could be, like I said, it could be total chaos going around. But before you can even get out, hey babe, how you doing? How was your day? Or before they can get that out your mouth, you've seen everything else that has gone wrong. You are letting a bad day snowball into your house now and into your relationship. So everything that you've been feeling all day at work, you are projecting that anger onto your mate now because you see things in the house that's not been done and you just see this person has not done anything. And you may not know that they may have cooked dinner. Dinner could be already cooked and in the oven waiting on you to get home. Maybe the kids were supposed to wash the dishes and took out the trash. And maybe they hadn't got home from school yet. Or maybe they hadn't got home from practice or something. Maybe that was their chore. But you come in the house and you already got an attitude because the things isn't done. And you don't give your mate time to even speak to you before you go tearing into them. That's how things like that start, because it's a snowball effect of unhappiness that you have projected on to that next person. Now, your mate that has been there, that hasn't done anything to you, has a choice at that point. They can snap back at you, or they can say, well, look here, honey, seems like you've had a bad day. And I'm just going to let you have a moment, get yourself together, and then maybe we can talk about this with clearer heads. That's being mindful. That's being mindful, because you haven't done anything to this person. And if they just come jumping off the gun at you for whatever reason, may not even know what's going on, that's when it's your opportunity to step back and think about, well, why is this person carrying on? And maybe I need to make them mindful of how they're treating me at this particular junction. Because maybe they don't realize that they are causing misery, because misery loves company. So if they've been miserable all day, guess what? They want you to be miserable too.
Exactly. But guess what? It doesn't go like that. Now, let's look at this picture. The stuff she just said was beautiful. That is how you should handle those situations as adults and being mindful. Okay? But guess what? I know what you guys out there saying. This son of a gun come at me, I'm going to come back at him. That's the first thing that's when your ego gets involved. Because you saying you haven't done anything wrong, this person comes at you, you got the right to defend yourself, right? I know that's what y'all saying, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going to take nothing from this person because you haven't done anything. So they come at you, you coming back at them, right? Yeah, that's what you're saying. But guess what? That right there is going to blow that simple thing way out of proportion. Like my wife said, you are the calm one at the time. Both of you can't be hot-headed. You are the calm one. You are mindful. Guess what? Oh, babe, she's had a bad day, or he's had a bad day. We'll talk about this later. After you've had time to, just shower, calm down, have a nice relaxing bath, and we'll talk about this later. Because at that point in time, like she said, it's your choice. You can make an already bad situation worse, or you could be mindful and soothe it and end it right there before it gets out of control. Good stuff, babe. That was a great point. I like that. Good stuff.
Yeah. Cause that's the part of being mindful. You have the choice of how you're going to react to anything that go on in any situation, not just at home with your mate, but at your job too, with your children. You have the choice over your own emotions. And that's the problem. People think that they don't have a choice. You have a choice in everything that you do. God gives us free will. God loves us so much that he gives us a choice whether we want to follow his principles or not. He gives us a choice. So when you have choices, that means that you can decide whether or not you want to live in misery or you decide that you want to live in happiness. It's up to you. You can live in a house of turmoil with nothing but arguments all the time, or you can really sit there and you can take an objective look at everything and let's just look at this together, honey, because we can't keep living like this. We can't keep fighting every other day or every other week or we moving out every month. We can't keep doing that. So it's time for somebody to actually sit down and let's look at this thing. Write down on a piece of paper. I want you to make 2 columns. One column is, what does this person do that makes you happy? And what does this person do that makes you unhappy? So you and your mate both do that. Not together. When you do it, you could do it together, but I don't want you to share each other's answers. So on 2 columns, what makes them make you happy and what makes them make you unhappy? Write those things down. Because in the unhappy column, that's usually where you're going to find the common denominator that's causing the rift in your relationship. Maybe one of you are too mouthy. You don't let the other person talk. So they don't never get their point across so that they can tell you how they're feeling. Or are you the one that shut down when your mate is trying to tell you what's wrong, you shut down. Because you're already on the defensive instead of trying to hear what's going on. That's when the ego comes in. When you already think you know the solution before they can tell you the problem. So maybe you need to do this exercise to see what is it that's causing the rift, the unhappiness, being miserable. That's a way to start. Find out what it is. Find out what the core common denominator is, and then maybe you can work on fixing that. Like if you one that like to pop off the mouth as soon as you see something that you don't like, you need to handle that. You need to handle your reaction. That's being mindful. And if you're one that shuts down, that your wife or your husband can't talk to you because you shut down, then you need to be mindful of that. Give them an opportunity to have a conversation with you without you shutting down emotionally on them, because that's what happens. When there is no communication, all you doing is just bumping heads and nothing is getting in, because both of you have an ego that is preventing you from moving forward. Trust me, we know. Me and Mike know. We under the same sign. We think the same. We're overthinkers. Everything. So when we tell you that this exercise work, being mindful, this is something that we practice on a daily basis. And as my husband said in the previous show, once we started doing it, it cut the tension in our relationship by more than half. We don't even think about it anymore. If we have a problem, it is what's going on now. And I'm going to tell you, ever since we did that, we barely have any problems now. We barely have any disagreements because we talk about everything before it occurs. We talk about the major things in life. We even talk about the little things. So that way we're on one accord and we are on the same page. A lot of you guys are doing things and you're not even on the same page with each other. You know, you don't know what the other person is doing because the other person is not communicating with you, and therefore it's causing a problem, aka making you unhappy.
Good stuff. Yes. And that's the absolute truth, honey. Absolute truth. And back to what, she was just touching on a few minutes ago. Ego. In a relationship, ego needs to take a back seat, because I know most guys out there, you know, you feel if you back down on an argument or whatever, you're weak. It's a sign of weakness. And some stubborn females out there, you're the same way. You know, put your ego on the back burner. Put your ego on the back seat when you're trying to have a successful and loving relationship, because sometimes you're going to have to step down. You're going to have to step back. Your ego will not let you go to that next level when you're coming mindful, because you feel that you're never wrong. Your ego, you're never wrong. Even if you're not wrong, even if they're wrong, try to understand what's going on with them before you go off the handle, because they might have a bad day, like we were just saying. Had a bad day at work, you come home, you explode. Yeah, okay, that was wrong, but guess what? Get to the bottom of it first. She had a bad day, give her time. He had a bad day, give her time to calm down and go from there. And once you work that out, guess what? Leave it there. Mm-hmm. Leave it at that moment, that second, and move forward. Mindfulness, living in the present.
Mm-hmm. And what he was saying is correct, because when you do have your disagreements, you got to stop going into the mental file cabinet and pulling out those old disagreements. When are you going to ever move forward? Like I was saying in our previous show, whenever you have an argument or a disagreement, it should be a time for learning why that made that person unhappy. If you're wondering why you're unhappy, because you probably haven't sat down to figure out what it is that makes you happy. And like I said, sometimes when you do these exercises, you're going to find out that the person that you're looking for to make you happy will never make you happy, because they're not that person for you. They're just not that person. And that's okay. I've been married before. Mike's been married before. And sometimes that person that you thought was going to be the one forever may not be the one. And that's okay, because you only have one life. You only have one life to live. And if the person that you are with does not enhance your happiness, if you see your husband or your wife and you want to throw up in your mouth, then that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. I mean, literally, if they repulse you to see them because you loathe them so much, you hate them. I mean, you hate them. You can love somebody and hate them at the same time because of attributes. They may have one attribute where they're a great father, they're a great provider, they're this, they're that, but does this person put you down? Does this person curse you out? Does this person treat you like you the lowest of the low? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. They may have an attribute that you like about them, but that big attribute, like being a great dad or being a great provider, may be downplayed because they're verbally abusive to you. They constantly point out your flaws. Like my husband said, they're one of those people that constantly have to point out what you're not good at, or what's bad about you and what's good about them. That's the ego. That's the ego. If you got somebody that's egotistical in your relationship, it's not going to work because everybody is bumping heads. If you're an ego person and he's an ego person, then where's the room for happiness? Because everybody's trying to be right. Everybody's trying to be on the upper end. So all you doing is tit for tat. Every time he does something, I'm going to react with I'm going to give him the same vibe. He gives me negative energy. I'm going to give him negative energy back. If she comes at me with that mouth, I'm going to come back at her. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. And so all you're doing is repeating a cycle. And if you keep repeating the same cycle, guess what? Now you're insane. You're insane. You are performing an act of insanity because that's what it is. When you keep doing something over and over again and expect a different result, they say that is the definition of insanity.
And in a way it is. In a way you didn't change anything and you're doing it the same way and you think you're going to get different results. Cuckoo. That's a little cray-cray. That's a little cray-cray. But guys, that's beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff is good stuff, guys. Mindfulness when it comes to relationships. That's the series we're on. We're giving you an understanding of being mindful and how it helped us and how it can help your relationship if you're just being mindful. Happiness. No one can make you happy. We just gave you the definition of that. It's a self thing. Someone can take your happiness for a moment if you allow them, if you're not mindful of what's going on. They can only take your happiness for a moment. And if you let them continue to take your happiness, guess what? That's a choice. It's no longer on them. It's on you. It's on you from that point on. So no one can make you happy. We know that it's a self thing, according to the definition. It's a self thing. But if someone take your happiness for that moment, and that's all you should give them, a moment. And if it continues and you allow it, it's choice.
It's a choice. It's a choice at that point. And it's a lot of you guys, and we got to get out of here, but it's a lot of you guys that has allowed other people that you are no longer with steal your happiness. They are still continue to steal your happiness right now. And that new person that's in your life, or they might not even be new. They may have been in your life for years, but guess what? That other person is still taking up headspace in your thoughts and in your brain. And that's the reason why a lot of you are unhappy, because you have not forgiven yourself and moved on from the other. From past stuff. That's the mental file cabinet. So who else is making you unhappy in your mind? Who else got control over your happiness? Because like we said, it's from the inside itself, and then it's going to manifest itself outside. Now, like I said, you're not going to always run around here, whistling and carrying on, but you can. You really can, because it's your choice. It's your choice to not be, to let somebody steal your joy, as they say in the old Bible hymn. It's up to you to let somebody steal your joy. And you got to also be mindful of this. Don't be always blaming stuff that you put yourself through on the devil. Because a lot of things that we do, like we said, is your choice. But a lot of people like to say, well, the devil made me go in there and act a fool on my husband, on my wife. No, you probably had a bad day at the work, like I said. And when you was on your way home, you probably was already fuming. If I get there and them dishes ain't washing, that trash ain't taken out, and he's sitting his sorry behind on that couch, I'm going to lose my mind. You probably already had that conversation in your mind on your way home. You probably did.
Ready for a fight.
You were already ready. And when you walked in the door and you already put that energy out there. And when you walked in the door and you saw those conditions that you had already projected into your mind and you saw them, you went ahead and you let that movie that was already in your mind play out in real life. That's what you did. You let that movie play out in real life. So when you saw those conditions were not favorable, you went off. And now your mate, who, like I said, the dishes might be dirty because, like I said, it might have been one of your kids' turn to do the dishes or something like that. Or it might have been your son's turn to take out the trash. So what he did was he cooked. You too mad, you probably didn't even smell the aroma in the air when you walked in the door. To let you know that he cooked. You might not have smelled the pine saw that he mopped the kitchen floor. You might not have noticed none of that. Because you too busy being mad at something that this person didn't even have anything to do with. That's mindful. That's being mindful. Being mindful of your own emotions and taking control of your own happiness. Because only you can control your level of happiness. Can't nobody else do that. You giving somebody else too much power when you say, you don't make me happy, or I expected you to make me happy because this other person I was with made me so unhappy that now I'm putting the burden on you to make me happy now. No, honey, it starts with you, and only that person can do is maybe enhance your happiness by the way they treat you. They can treat you very well. That can make you even more happier, put you on another level of happiness. But they can't start with you already broken. They can't. You already at the bottom and you expecting this person to lift you up, honey. You need God to lift you up, because that person that you're trying to put all that faith in to make you happy is going to fail you every single time. They're going to fail you every single time because you're putting the trust in the wrong person. You're putting it into the wrong energy. So that's just my take on it.
And that's good stuff. And that's good stuff. Valid points. Valid points. Just being mindful, guys. That's what we're talking about here on Lunch Talk with the Carters. On the next few episodes, being mindful. Guys, it's good stuff. If you practice it every day, being aware of your every thought, being aware of your every action, I guarantee, like I said in the last show, it will help your relationship.
Yeah. If you guys are one that you're constantly going through arguments all the time, you're constantly separating and breaking up and everything, it's time now to stop the cycle. And you got to sit down and you got to really figure it out. So that's basically what this series is about, because me and my husband, we constantly getting questions about it and people wanting to hear what our take is, what has helped us, because we let you know, guys, that we are not perfect. We have our own problems and our own issues, but I guarantee you, since we started practicing this mindfulness technique in our own relationship, it has helped tremendously. So that's why we felt like we needed to share this information with our Lunch Talk with the Carters audience. We always appreciate you guys listening to the show. So, babe, you got anything else you want to say before I do the credits?
No, babe, I just love the show. No, not at all. I think we did a good job. Hope we motivated you guys out there. Hope we got you in a better frame of thinking.
That's right. That's all it is about. It's just thinking on a higher level. Thinking on a higher level is what's going to bring this situation up from a low level. When you want to be positive, you got to positive energy only occurs at a higher level of consciousness. That's what we're trying to bring you guys. We're trying to bring you to a higher level of consciousness in your relationship that will make you think about the choices that you are making, the things that you have done that has not been so favorable at the junction where you're at right now, and how you can make it better if you take the time and really be mindful about it. All right. So we always appreciate you guys listening to the show, Lunch Talk with the Carters. That's what we do. We tackle the relationship issues. Make sure you are listening to us on Radio Public, because when you listen to our show on Radio Public, you are sponsoring shows just like ours. This conversation has been so good. I was like, oh my goodness, I just got tongue tied, because this is good stuff. I feel like this is going to really touch and bless somebody's relationship. And that's what we all about. We want to make sure that we keep our families first. We want our relationships to win. The enemy is trying to destroy marriages and keeping people from being together and raising their kids in two-parent households. That's what it's all about. It's trying to get the family dynamic back together again. So guys, make sure you support Lunch Talk with the Carters. Share these episodes with your family and your friends that may be going through these situations. It might not be you, but if you know somebody that's going through these situations that we are talking about, that we're discussing on Lunch Talk, share it. Send them the link, through Facebook or through your text message or something like that. Share this information. That way that maybe this can be a blessing to somebody else. And you can listen to the show on iTunes, Google Play, Overcast. You can listen to the audio on YouTube. So it's a bunch of places you can listen to Lunch Talk with the Carters. Just Google us up, or you can check the show notes. All right. We really do appreciate it again.
All right. Peace.